The guy I'm dating, 36M, has a shrine to my 37F ex-husband in his house. I was married for 7 years to a celebrity. I put it in quotes BC, while most of you have never heard of him. He is A-list in the world of metal music. If you're a metalhead, you 100% know who he is. We split amicably BC. He was always going on tour. I used to love going with him, but the thrill of it wore off, and I found myself sick of traveling so much. Because of this, we grew apart, but still keep in contact occasionally BC despite the fact our marriage didn't work. He is a really cool, nice person. 2 weeks ago, I met a guy through a friend that I immediately hit it off with. We have been on 3 dates so far. The first 2 dates were drinks after work. He showed up in nice khakis and a button-down both times. On our latest date, I went to his house to watch a movie. Literally watch a movie. We were taking the physical stuff slow, lol. He has a nice house, so I asked for a tour. After he showed me the upstairs, he said he had to show me his game room. We went down into a fully furnished basement with a pool table, a minibar, and darts. But there was something very weird down there also. Apparently my new man is really into metal music. Would never have guessed based on how he dresses, lol. And his favorite artist of all time is, you guessed it, my ex-husband. He had framed posters of all of my ex's bands, autographed signature guitars. Every record he has ever released were framed on the walls. He even had magazine articles about him, and some of his bands framed. Every wall in his game room was covered with my ex's face and his signature guitars. So, I may have messed up here, but I kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything. He knows I'm divorced, but he definitely doesn't know it's from his idol. We are seeing each other tonight for our 4th date, and I know I need to tell him. But how? I really like this guy, but I'm afraid if I tell him he will freak out and run. What should I say? Or should I tell him? I just don't want to damage our relationship, BC. I can really see it becoming long-term. I know I should have told him at his house, but honestly I was in shock. Anybody know how to approach this? TLDR. The guy I just started dating is obsessed with my ex-husband and his music. He has no idea that he's my ex, and I'm not sure how to tell him. Update. Well, after getting a huge range of answers, some of which were kind of frightening, I decided to give the new guy the benefit of the doubt and go ahead with our dinner date that night. Our 4th date. So I met him at the restaurant, and we had some wine first. We were just talking and chatting, and I realized that I had to bring up the ex-husband thing. So while we were both 2 glasses of wine in, I decided to just ask him flat out if he knew that I was previously married to his favorite musician. He laughed nervously and said, yes, I knew, but my friend didn't tell me. I figured it out. He told me essentially that he found out through the grapevine, and he decided to start mingling with my friends so he could meet me. He told me that yes, at first it was just BC, I was married to his idol, but that now he is really developing feelings for me. I thought it was a little odd, but I felt fine with it, until I remembered his man cave basement. I asked him if he knew I was married to his favorite musician, then WTF would he bring me down there to show me all of the memorabilia? His response was too weird for me. He said, I was trying to see if he would confess. I was like, confess to what? And he said to my being married to my ex. I told him that I thought it was pretty concerning that he tried to trick me into some weird confession and that I didn't think we would work out. He accepted it and didn't seem upset or anything. Dinner had already been served, so we started eating when he proceeded to bombard me with questions about my ex. When is he releasing new materials? What is his favorite band? What does he do during the day of a show? Is he vegan? What's his mother's maiden name? Okay, so I made up the last one, lol, blah, blah, blah. Finally, he could sense my discomfort, and we ended the dinner and parted ways. He said he would text me the next day, just as friends, which I said was okay. Well, his text the next day was trying to get him and his friends VIP passes when my ex comes near us to play. I did not respond, and I blocked his number because he kept texting again and again, begging me for the hookup. It was desperate and weird. Anyway, I called my ex to warn him about this dude, even though he seems harmless. He doesn't know where I live, and I didn't get any psycho vibes. I think he just wanted me as a trophy, as some user put in my last post. Thanks Reddit. TLDR. It turns out the guy I was dating was way more into my semi-famous ex more than he was into me, and he gave me weird vibes, so I ended it, even as friends. My motherly aunt wants me to give up my unborn baby girl to my godly infertile cousin. I, 24F, am currently 8 months pregnant with a baby girl, and my aunt/cousin have been giving me trouble since I have announced the news. My partner and I already adore our girl and have no plans to give her up, but my aunt wants me to give up my child to my cousin, who has been suffering for infertility for the past 5 years. For more context, my aunt has raised my sister and I as a motherly figure after our mother passed away when we were very young. We have been quite close with our aunt/cousin throughout our life and have been trying to support my cousin through her struggles with infertility. My aunt is also very religious, being a Mormon who regularly attends church and has a very rigid, closed-minded view on morality/values and living a good life. She believes that a child deserves a strong, foundational religious upbringing with a strong, providing father and a loving, attentive mother. Since my partner is not Christian, and because we both have full-time jobs and careers, She believes that my child will grow up confused and misguided in our household due to our religious differences, lacking a proper sense of identity and adequate care. She says she fears that our child's well-being will not be put first in such an environment, and that our kid could likely go down a dark, immoral path. According to her, my cousin, who works part-time from home, and her husband are way better able to provide my child with a loving home with good values and religion. I have both my aunt and cousin blocked on most forms of communication, and I have moved to a new home, where they do not know the address. My partner and I also got married in a private ceremony, so they won't have control over my medical decisions. Out of the two, my aunt has been more aggressively towards me, and even showed up to my old apartment one day to scream and argue with me about the situation. She, in a fake nice tone, tried to get me to come with her to a cafe near the church to speak with me about the baby, even when I told her there is nothing to be discussed, and that I'm keeping the baby. I spoke with the apartment manager and had to hide until she left after half an hour. My aunt also has her church friends after me. They sometimes regularly send me hostile text message and voicemails. My cousin has been on the quieter side towards me and has been struggling with depression and trauma from her latest pregnancy last year, ending in a stillbirth of her baby girl after preterm labor at 30 weeks. She has been regularly posting on social media and has joined mother-related groups. I've heard through gossip that she is trying to get a baby through those groups and has been banned from a considerable amount of them to her dismay. She had been harassing young moms and widows for their babies. My cousin is desperate for a baby to fix her family and is apparently waiting for my name to give birth for my baby girl, who she apparently sees her own late baby in. My aunt and her are apparently sure that I will be overwhelmed with my decision and the responsibilities with motherhood, that I will give more to my baby by letting my cousin and her husband adopt her. My aunt says that giving my baby to my cousin shouldn't be as hard as it could be because we are family, and that I could have a baby later on as I'm still young and have plans to attend grad school after working for a while. My cousin also apparently wants to get into contact as we had before my pregnancy. I will not be speaking to her again until after I give birth to see where she is then and to prevent further stress during my pregnancy. I have been very supportive of her through her infertility journey and generally liked her more than my aunt growing up, but her behavior and thinking have shocked me and are making me fear for my safety. I am planning a big wedding party for next year, since my partner and I privately got married this year, and I'm not sure if my cousin/aunt would be invited and able to come. I have a lot of family support from both sides right now apart from those who are close to them and on their side, but I'm not sure if that support will be as strong in a year and what my relationship with my aunt/cousin will be then. I have skipped some family events that I know they will be at, but I don't want to miss out on those family gatherings and fun forever. I'm not sure how the future will look like with my aunt/cousin after my baby and the issues that arise with that. Any support would be appreciated. Update number 1. This will be a small update. We got in contact with a local church leader and talked to them about the situation with my aunt and cousin, who are both active members. We talked to him for a while. He initially dismissed my concerns as personal conflict between family and tried to refer us over to counseling services. We explained to him that my cousin is dealing with trauma from her baby's death and that she is having false hopes about adopting my baby, which would be raised in a good home. We also told him that my aunt is feeding into those hopes and has been harassing me on her behalf, causing disturbance and a lot of stress. He told me he understood my side and that he knew what my cousin has been going through with her inability to have kids. He said he would contact my aunt and cousin to see what they have to say about the situation. I talked again with him today. He said that my aunt and cousin would like to speak with me and that they were concerned that I stopped communicating with them, especially since I moved away. I explained to him that their behavior regarding my baby influenced me to do those things and pressed him on what they said. He said that my cousin had talked with a church therapist and was looking into adoption to start a family because her IVF treatments were likely not going to produce a child with her condition. I emphasized to him that I was not giving up my baby and that my cousin had been thinking such. He said that understood that and started asking me for personal details on how I was doing now. He was again trying to set up a meeting between us and my aunt/cousin and referring us to services. I told him I was not comfortable with that at the moment, and he told me to at least call my cousin once. He said he will meet with my aunt on Sunday, since I was too scared to do on my own. Our call ended after that. I'll comment any update on what he says in the coming days under this post. Edit. I'm not satisfied with his response, and do not like that he is putting pressure on me with reconnect with my aunt and cousin. He says he understands my concerns, but I think he is being rather dismissive of them and trying to force us to resolve our issues. My partner and I thought it was worth a shot reaching out to him because he has influence and religious authority over my aunt/cousin. I'll see what he says on the next phone call and see what I can do to make him care more. Edit. To make clear, I didn't give him any personal information and have no plans for any in-person meeting with my aunt and cousin. We are in contact with legal help. We do not live in Utah. Update number 2. We spoke again with the bishop. He said that there isn't much he can personally do to resolve the situation within his capacity between me and my aunt/cousin other than refer to counseling services. I asked him if he did meet with my aunt, and he said he did. Their conversation was apparently focused on my cousin and helping her heal. He told me my cousin was also grieving the loss of communication with me and my sister, who hasn't been talking much to her anymore. I told him that my cousin was trying to take my baby to replace hers and that her and my aunt's behavior was threatening the safety and well-being of me and my family. I think he was losing interest in the conversation, so he just told me to do whatever I feel is best for my family, but to consider the grief my cousin has been through and contact family counseling services for further help on this matter. Me and my partner sent him an email afterwards with a copy to our lawyer to close off communication. I decided to unblock my cousin and send her a message. I told her that my partner and I are keeping our baby, and that is not up for discussion. I encouraged her to seek proper therapy if she hasn't already done so, and told her that I am not comfortable with her, her husband, or my aunt being involved in my child's life. She hasn't responded yet. Regardless of what she says, our relationship will not return to as it was before, and she will not be a part of my child's life. Update number 3. Here is the update everyone has been waiting for. I was busy in the few last months with the birth and projects I have been working on as I recover from birth and take care of my new baby. I logged into Reddit a few times since then, but haven't gotten a chance to update. I am 25 now, and my baby is almost 4 months old. Time flies. She is doing well and brings us so much joy. I love going on walks with her, and she is growing up so fast. I am planning to go back to work soon looking for a new job. Thank you all for the concern and well wishes, and I hope everyone is having a great time during the Thanksgiving holiday season. Now, the update that everyone is looking forward to, my cousin and aunt. Since my last update, my cousin and aunt went silent for a while, and my cousin didn't respond to my texts. In August, my aunt reached out to me through a new number and asked me how I was and if I had the baby yet. We talked. She was concerned about my baby's well-being since I distanced myself from a lot of my family and had to leave my job. I asked about my cousin. She says they have been trying to adopt a baby through their church connections, but nothing has been successful so far, cause they probably just started on that. I asked about whether they consulted with a proper adoption agency, but my aunt said that my cousin's husband's past may become a problem. Didn't know about that. And she proceeded to rant about how the white birth rate is dropping and how people were actively denying themselves parenthood. She asked me if I still wanted the baby and got angry about 9th-month abortions. She is pro-life without exceptions. I reaffirmed to her that I did, and she talked about how my cousin was getting old, but she is in her early 30s and that her nest is still empty. She wanted me to at least share the joy and let me cousin be in my daughter's life and spend time with her. I told that would not be possible due to their past behavior. I fear that my cousin would try to become her mother and let her delusions get to her again. My aunt said that my cousin was trying to become better and got some church counseling. I still told her no. She then asked me if I knew anyone or any resources to adopt a baby. I told her I didn't and that my cousin/her husband should be careful and patient with trying to become parents. My aunt emphasized how becoming parents was important to my cousin and her husband because they deserved children at this point and for their reputation since everyone around them is reaching the parenthood milestone. She asked about my future family plans and pushed me on when I'm going to get pregnant again/have my next child. She told me family planning was important, especially after this surprise pregnancy, and asked if they could be involved next time. As the call went on, more and more of her past/usual behavior became apparent, and I was getting tired of it. I wanted in the call, but she ended it first because she had some activity. Thankfully, I have my sister to keep me in the loop with what's happening with my aunt/cousin and other matters regarding my family and my old church. Everything my aunt said was apparently true about my cousin. According to my sister, my cousin's overall mental health seems to have improved from her worst, but she still has her deep depressive periods. She sometimes feels very empty with her lack of children and her worsened relationships with me and my sister. My cousin and her husband are also trying to find an IVF doctor abroad in hopes of a miracle since a lot of their options are shutting down here. My cousin apparently still views my baby as something she lost, but she believes God will give her kids soon and has been trying to get her sins forgiven. We are skipping Thanksgiving with my side of the family in a few days for obvious reasons. I'm going back to the workforce soon, likely after all the holidays. I have my childcare arrangements ready with all the necessary precautions, and the future is looking good overall. Again, thank you all for your support, and let me know if you have any questions about anything, Mormonism, my family, motherhood, etc. WIBTA to divorce my wife after she said she wanted to send our son to a conversion camp. So, this is a pretty heavy situation, and I'm really confused and disgusted NGL, cause I never thought my wife was like Psy. My wife, 44F, and I, 45M, have been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son, let's call him Noah, and a 12-year-old daughter. We've had our fair share of disagreements over the years OFC, but things have generally been smooth between us. Now for the context, Noah came out as gay about a year ago. It was a surprise, and as hard as it was to accept, I love my kids more than anything and just want their happiness. My wife visibly didn't take it well though. She was upset and seemed to go through a grieving period where she didn't really talk about it. I tried to support Noah in every way I could, telling him that I loved him no matter what, etc. My wife, though, I could tell she wasn't on the same page. She would say things like, "This is just a phase," or "He needs help," but I brushed it off as her needing time. Fast forward to last week, and we were having a conversation about Noah's future. Out of nowhere, my wife casually mentions that she's been looking into conversion therapy camps and thinks it might be the right solution. She said that Noah isn't truly gay, that he just hasn't been shown the right path, and that this could fix him. My blood ran cold. I was in shock. I immediately told her I didn't agree, and that this was not something I could support. She got upset and said I was enabling Noah's confusion, and that if I really cared about him, I would help him get better. WTF is wrong with her? She was persistent, and no matter how much I tried to explain that conversion therapy is harmful, like I know those kids get abused or astrosped, and often end up either traumatized or killing themselves, and that I would never send our son to something like that, she wouldn't back down. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think I love her anymore. The fact she could be so heartless disgusts me. I know being gay is not easy, and people like her just make it even harder. I'm considering staying, only for our daughter's sake, but would it be okay if it means hurting my son? It feels like a betrayal to Noah. I just don't think I can keep living with someone who thinks this is okay. Update number 1. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone here for all the help and advice I've gotten under my post and in DMS. Sorry if I couldn't answer to everyone, there was just too many fucking people, lol. So I posted something about my wife wanting to send my son to a conversion camp 2 days ago. First of all, some people told me to show her videos and documentaries about what happens there, but this argument has been ongoing for more than a week now. I've showed her things and she won't budge. Really bad update if I can be honest, so let's get into it. All of you told me to try to get him out ASAP. You were definitely right. So yesterday, I took the day off and went to see an attorney just to get some info about divorce, etc. But after what happened, I'm 100% sure I want a divorce ASAP. Yesterday, I went to pick Noah at his school, and as many of you suggested, we had a long discussion. I basically told him his mom, and I may be getting a divorce because she wants to send him to a conversion camp, but I can't accept that. I've talked with her many times, and I told him I'll probably go through with it. He looked really hurt, my heart broke all over again, but was very understanding and thanked me for standing up for him. I pulled him into a tight hug and told him I'll always love him, no matter what, and that nothing's his fault. At that moment, he started crying because he was so glad at least I was on his side. And I'm very pissed, so sorry if I don't make sense, but apparently his mom had been pressuring him for months. She planned dates with girls to try and fix him, and he had to lie by saying he was going at a friend's instead. She was saying he needs help, and as much as she loves him, he needs to get his condition cured, etc. I feel so bad because I've been so oblivious to all that, and I've failed to protect him for all that time. How you make your 16-year-old son go through that? So when we got home yesterday, I can't lie, I was furious and confronted her right there and then. At first she was trying to explain she was doing it for him, but her speech quickly turned to slurs, and it was clear she was just ashamed of having a gay son. In the end, I told her I want to see an attorney, and that learning all that just confirmed that I want a divorce. She got really angry, calling me a delusional disgrace. We argued a lot, and at some point Noah tried to separate us, but my wife punched him multiple times. She was saying disgusting things like he's a dirty fag, *T, and that it's all his fault we're getting divorced because his filth corrupted me. My daughter, who was probably in her room, came to see what all that commotion was about and was rightfully horrified and quickly called 911 when I told her to. Long story short, the cops got there and took her away. She was very reluctant to go because she was not in the wrong and they needed to let her go. I explained everything to my daughter, and she doesn't want anything to do with her mom anymore. RN, I'm in the hospital because my STB ex-wife broke my rib while I was restraining her. I should have probably went as soon as the cops took her, but IDC, my son, was crying. With a black eye and split lip, they were checking for any concussion. And obviously the only thing I cared about was to comfort him, because I can't even imagine what it could feel like being beaten by your mom for being gay. I'm planning to file for full custody OFC, and my kids don't want to see her ever again anyway. Given all the charges she's facing, I hope she won't stand a chance against me. I just sent a mail to my attorney, and I hope the procedures will be fast. I've also thought of getting CPS involved, but I'm not sure they will RLY help. Like, I cannot understand how you can groan so resentful of your own kid because of something they can't control. Even I had pretty strong opinions about it, but as a father it is my role to unconditionally love my kids, and so I learned about the topic and changed my way of seeing the world for him. It took some time grasping it, but I never doubted one as to see the love I have for my child. I thought it was the same for my wife. Visibly not. Update number 2. So, a little over 2 weeks ago, I posted about my STB ex-wife putting both my son and me in the hospital because he is gay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for the support and advice we've received. The kind words were overwhelming. To all the trolls saying this is fake, God knows I wish it was. Maybe I didn't make much sense because I was extremely shaken, so I apologize if that's the case. Now for the update. It's been difficult ever since, But don't worry, this is not a bad update. First of all, I was able to get an emergency custody order. I'm very, very relieved because many of you warned me about how people can have their kids forcefully taken by those conversion camps, and I'm relieved that she can't do that anymore. I'm still overly anxious and only leave my son alone when he's at school. I've instructed all the teachers to make sure no one but me approaches him. Thank God my boss has been understanding on the matter. I've been granted the exclusive use of our house as well, so I've changed the locks and installed security cameras. Many friends and family members from my side, of course, have been visiting often to give us both emotional support and safety. Many of you also advised me to document every injury that my son and I sustained. Fortunately, my son didn't suffer a concussion, so I took plenty of pictures and gave them to my lawyer, and she has also taken my son's and my daughter's testimony. Given all the charges my wife is facing, child abuse both physically and emotionally / neglect / endangerment, assault and battery, hate crime, and domestic violence. Yeah, it doesn't look very good for her. Our lawyer is confident that I will 100% be granted full custody. She also said that it's likely Sbee's attorney will recommend that she gives up her parental rights, given the overwhelming evidence against her. Also, I=T is very likely that my son, and I, possibly even my daughter if she asks for it, will be granted a restraining order against her. My lawyer has told me CPS involvement will only strengthen my case, as they are thoroughly investigating everything. While we're still waiting to get the court date, I am feeling highly confident and relieved for the first time since all that shit happened. I've gathered tons of overwhelming evidence against the toxin, thanks to that person who came up with that name. I'll keep everyone updated, and thank you again for all the advice and support my kids and I have received. I honestly don't know how I could have gotten through this without all of you. Y'all just saved a family, be proud. I'm ending my engagement tomorrow. I, 25F, have been with my fiancé, 27M, for 4 years. We've been engaged for one of those years. Our wedding is set for June. We met in college. I graduated early while he graduated late, so we finished at the same time. I got a job, and he decided to go to grad school. He was supposed to graduate a year ago, but didn't finish his thesis. Then was supposed to graduate in the spring, but didn't. So now he's supposed to graduate in a few weeks. He found out a month and a half ago that he was going to have to do another semester and only told me last week after I asked about how he was doing. This has completely removed the veil from my eyes. I love him so much that I've been ignoring everything. I've sacrificed so much. I've taken on the majority of the load in our relationship, financial, chores, cooking, planning, etc., to ease his stress so he could graduate and we can begin our life together. I'm working a job I don't find fulfillment in just because it's the best option in the area of the university he's going to. He couldn't sacrifice weed and video games so that he can finish his goddamn thesis and we can move where I can get a better job and be happier. I don't even think he sees how much I am doing for him. I feel like I'm his mother and he's my unemployed 27-year-old son that has no plans of getting a job or moving out. I'm so frustrated it's taken me this long to see. It's been there the whole time, and I'm just now perceiving it loudly crying face. I want my life partner to be ambitious and motivated in the same way as me. But he is not. He has held me back for 4 years, and I haven't realized it until now. So tomorrow, I'm going to end our engagement. I love him so much, but that is not enough. I've been processing this for the last week, and although I am terrified of losing him, the people I love that I've met through him, and the non-refundable deposits I've made for the wedding, I'm feeling a bit of excitement to be independent. Once I grieve this relationship, my best friend, who I thought was the love of my life, I think I will feel 10 tons lighter. TLDR. My fiancé intentionally didn't tell me about something that affects our future, and it's made me realize that he is incredibly immature and is not what I want for my life partner. Update. It'll be easier to break this down by day. So, my OG post was posted on Tuesday. Wednesday, I read him what I wrote about all my feelings and how his shortcomings have been affecting me. He agreed with everything I said, took responsibility for everything. He said I deserve better and that he wants to do better for me. He was being super hard on himself, and it was hard to watch. Sad face at the end. I mentioned postponing the wedding, and he freaked out. I didn't have it in me to say cancel. He was really blindsided by that and said he needed time and space to process, so he left. Thursday, he came back and took responsibility for everything again. He thanked me for bringing it up because he needed to hear it. He said he's been stuck for a long time, and he wants to do better for me. I told him I think we need to part ways in order for both of us to be able to grow in the ways we need, and he was not expecting that at all. He started freaking out. He begged me. He said, "Please don't do this to me. You're my best friend. Please don't give up on me. You haven't even given me a chance." I have to tell you, that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It took everything in me to not give in. But I told him I have a lot of resentment, and that would be hard to let go of, and it will be very hard to let go of our current dynamic, and that's not fair to either of us. At some point he said, "You have every right." I can't believe I fucked this up. Then we agreed to have another conversation the next day when emotions weren't as high. Friday, I stayed home from work and he came over in the early afternoon. He sat down and began telling me the things he's planned in order to get better. He already made an appointment with an ADHD specialist. He talked with his grad school advisor about his options. He said he was willing to do anything to keep me. I told him again every reason why we can't stay together, and he accepted it. We hugged and kissed each other goodbye, and he left. I sat for a minute, and then I started freaking out. It became real. I've pictured my entire life with him for many years now, and the fact that he won't be in it at all really rattled me. In our conversation, he seemed so ready for growth, and I questioned if it was fair to not give him a chance. I texted him and asked him to come back later to talk more. He came back, and in the meantime, I wrote out a list of things I need in order for us to be together. I started reading it, and he stopped me. He said he had thought about everything I said earlier and knew I was right. He acknowledged that he's been holding me back for a long time, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. I'm very grateful he recognized that and let me go. We decided to spend one last night together. It was like nothing had happened. We kissed and cuddled and watched our show. We talked about our relationship and our favorite memories together. We ordered dinner and played our favorite board game. Then we cried ourselves to sleep in each other's arms. In the morning, we said goodbye, and we both left. We've agreed to no contact for the foreseeable future. This was the best possible ending I could have imagined. I'm so glad he ended up on the same page as me. We still have so much love for each other, but we know it's the best thing for us both. I'll be moving within the next few weeks and hopefully getting a job I actually enjoy. I'm rooting for him and really hope he can figure himself out. What's meant to happen will happen, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I read through y'all's comments before each talk for strength and encouragement. Thank you so much to everyone for the support.